In this video, I'm going to react to the story of the Walt Disney Speedway. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. This is the place where I react to music, media, sports, anime, anything related to popular culture. I'll watch it with an open mind and give you my 100% honest reaction to it. And if you could please hit that like button early, I'd really appreciate it. Now this is going to be really interesting. It's another video by Slap Shoes, a YouTuber that I really like. He's got a great way to tell stories. He's a master of condensing a lot of info into like good 10-15 minute chunks. So I had no clue that there was going to be a racing track at, I believe it's the Walt Disney Center in Orlando, Florida. Like, I've been there twice, and to me the thought of possibly after going on Space Mountain to be able to go and watch a NASCAR race is just completely bizarre. It would have been really cool, because that way I would have been able to see a NASCAR race. I really want to see one now, but I'd have been able to tick that off my list years ago. So this is going to be a lot of fun to watch and learn about the story, because something must have happened, because I imagine, you know, NASCAR racing tracks are probably hugely financially lucrative, and you know, obviously Disney, you know, they're great at making money. So I wonder what happened there. So let's go. This is going to be me reacting to the story of the Walt Disney Speedway. Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to Slap on Location, where today we visit the happiest place on earth and one of the most ambitious speedway projects of the late 20th century, Walt Disney World Speedway.
Wow. I still can't imagine. Maybe Mickey Mouse. Oh. Video redacted by Walt Disney.
Is a registered Disneyland copyright, and it's heading for a great big lawsuit. You made a big mistake.
I thought it was being serious there. I was like, what? Disney told you not to put this on? What?
Hey, I'm out here at what was Walt Disney World Speedway. Right out there used to be Turn 1. And the truck series for NASCAR came out here twice, but this racetrack has a special importance to IndyCar. When the IndyCar USAC split happened, the IndyCar kart split happened in 1996, IndyCar held its very first race here in January. It was racetrack was right here, had this big long front straightaway, and it was in this weird tri-oval configuration where it had 3 distinct turns. All of them had different
very
very
unique looking.
And really, there's not much left of the track because there wasn't a whole lot here. The racetrack was actually built as a 100% temporary circuit. The grandstands, the garage area, concessions, restrooms, everything was temporary. So the idea was, out of peak season, NASCAR and IndyCar would come here, usually in January to kick off the new year. They'd come down here and
host their races,
put on a race, and then when peak season started to gear up in spring, summer, through Labor Day and into Christmas and New Year's, they could take down everything and still have all this huge parking lot to work with. The track was built for just $6 million.
That's cheap.
Basically nothing when you compare that to the cost of most tracks today. I mean, North Wilkesboro, by all estimates, goes from anywhere between $8 million and $12 million today. So the track was built absurdly cheap, and it was designed by Kevin Forbes, who's the chief engineer over at IMS, Indy Motor Speedway. It's kind of a joint venture between Walt Disney World and IMS. They wanted to build a racetrack in a big market, just build up a lot of hype behind it, and Walt Disney
Makes
World
a lot of sense.
Provided the area right here between 2 existing roads. They provided this area, and they said, work with that, do what you can with it. And so that's why they built it in this weird tri-oval configuration.
Just deserted before construction.
Basically, so they didn't have to worry about rerouting roads and all of that, and that kept the cost down absurdly low. Right, so they broke ground in June of 1995, and by November of that same year, it was done.
Wow, that is fast.
By January, they held the very first race here. The completion date and the first testing that was done in December, January was pretty close together by design. This is kind of, I wouldn't really say slapdash put together.
Just
but it was
quick.
designed to be done very quickly, very cheaply, and everything seemed to be going well for them. In 1996, the IndyCar race, it was kind of a snooze fest. I believe there were something like 6 lead changes. It was a 200 lap event, 200 miles. and it was IRL's first race, and it was kind of forgettable, but they still brought in about 51,000 people.
It's a lot. That's a
on
big
all the temporary
gate.
grandstands, and Walt Disney World and the Indy Racing League.
They would have took a lot of money at the gate
on
there.
this project for the first few years. After that, they were having to spend so much money having to bring in new grandstands and basically rebuild the track.
Wasn't
every single
financially
year,
viable.
That any money that they could have made was just getting sunk into that.
Yeah.
And fewer people kept showing up to the races. It would be 45,000, 40,000. I think it was somewhere in the mid-30s on the very last race here in 2000. There were plans to put an IndyCar race out here for the 2001 season, but they ran into a bunch of problems. The Super Bowl that year was in February, like it normally is, but it was in Tampa Bay. And people over here at Walt Disney World were very concerned that would draw a lot of the crowd away as well as the IRL. They were concerned it would draw a lot of the crowd away, and then all of the transportation, everything would get screwed up. So they decided, well, what about Labor Day? Disney World said, no way, that's peak season. You're going to take up like half our parking lot. There were already massive problems with transportation, people just trying to get to the Speedway.
A lot of obstacles.
When they were having the races in January, they basically had to divert out all the traffic that would normally be parked here to go into Walt Disney World. And they were telling them to go clear to the other side of the park and ride the monorail
to get to the park.
What would be the main entrance over here. And people weren't happy about that. And so it was a massive headache, not just for the IRL, but with scheduling, with Disney World and everything. They weren't happy about it, nobody was happy about it, and plans fell through. The NASCAR Truck Series raced out here twice in 1997 and 1998. Joe Ruttman won the first race. Ron Hornaday Jr. won the second race in 1998 en route to the championship that year.
I love the Truck Series.
But the NASCAR Series, they weren't too thrilled about this racetrack. It was bringing in fewer people from the 97 race into the 98 race. They were pretty good races by all accounts. But there was some concern from the NASCAR side of things. It was kind of taking some of the thunder away from Speed Weeks, and they were worried about people
too much of a good
seeing
thing.
NASCAR races in January and being confused and wondering where the Daytona 500 was. So they ended up just stopped coming out here, and they just let this be IndyCar's thing. Also, they had to deal with the same sort of scheduling issues, transportation issues, and all of that.
Yeah, so just a big headache, really.
Eventually, the opener for the Truck Series in 2000 became Daytona, just like all the other series, and it's basically remained there ever since.
One very awkward conversation with Disney security later. Oh no.
Well, we wanted to keep filming, but then security came by and very politely let us know that we got to get credentials for that. So
why though?
That's what we're going to do now. But yeah, the Speedway is pretty much completely gone. They're doing a lot of construction over here, and I think they're going to add on to the parking lot because it's an off day, off season. I mean, middle of February, parking lot's pretty well full. So yeah, probably adding on to this, maybe adding in a few attractions, some more transportation to get people from the far parking lot closer to the main entrance. But yeah, they very politely told us we can't do this over here.
Why
also, we
though?
had a drone shot. We're going to have a drone come up here, and we couldn't send it up because we got a message on the drone that this is a restricted area, nuclear power plant nearby. Except there isn't one. I think Walt Disney World actually has themselves listed in the database
as a nuclear
power plant to just shut everything down.
Wow.
That's my theory on it anyway. But yeah, they came by, told us we need to talk to media, and we'll see what happens after that.
They're not going to get
Well, as it turns out, getting media credentials is a whole lengthy process in its own right, and we were effectively shut down by the Walt Disney World Gestapo. Since security interrupted us before I could tell the full tale, let's get into what led to the downfall of Walt Disney World Speedway. After NASCAR chose to not renew its contract for 1999, IndyCar pushed forward as the only sanctioning body still racing at the facility. But after several driver injuries, including the paralyzing of Sam Schmidt in 2000, teams were getting very vocal about safety concerns surrounding the track. In an age before safer barriers, the oblique angles of the turns were extremely dangerous, as a minor mishap or something as simple as a tire failure in the wrong part of the track could lead to a horrific injury or worse. What did the track in was that scheduling conflict with Super Bowl 35 held in Tampa Bay, Florida on January 28, 2001. No compromise could be worked out, and IndyCar never came back after the 2000 season, and neither did anybody else. The track did see new life as a driving school course for the Richard Petty driving experience, the exotic driving experience, and many others. While most used the IndyCar and NASCAR oval layout, the exotic school used a reverse slalom course, and that would end up being the final nail in the coffin for the Speedway.
Dang.
The course they favored used the infield for a series of S's and then went on to the back straight in a clockwise configuration. Normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but there was an access road opening back there that left an unprotected wall just jutting out. On April 12th, 2015, exotic racing instructor Gary Terry was riding in the passenger seat of a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera when the student driver lost control of the car and slammed into the access road wall, passenger side first, killing Terry instantly. Allegedly, his final words were as he slid towards the wall, quote, "I told them this would happen." Although investigators cleared Walt Disney World Speedway and the school of any wrongdoing, the move was made to tear down what was left of the track, and there the outline of the facility sat until early 2020 when construction began on reclaiming the old track for a parking lot expansion. I want to thank the security personnel at Walt Disney World for being so polite as they did their job, and a big shout out to Cody H Gaming, who braved the mid-February 90-degree afternoon down in Orlando with me, and served as the cameraman for this installment of the series. If you like what you just watched, consider supporting me on Patreon, so I can continue working on projects like these well into the future.
Man, that had a lot more things to it than I thought. Like that last guy, so he died? Like, wow, and the fact that his last words were, "I told them that this would happen," so that the curves in the track were maybe too severe. He didn't feel comfortable, having a person who's unexperienced driving, a supercar, Lamborghini, taking those bends in the road. That is tragic, but yeah, unbelievable story. $6 million, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge amount of money. They probably made that back, over the course of its short life, its use. Like if you're attracting, they say, I think Slap said at its peak, 50,000 people, each person pays on average, let's say, $40. So 50,000 times 40, that's about $2 million. I imagine, that's not including the, sale of drinks, sale of, merchandise. Yeah, they probably made that money back for sure. But yeah, what a story. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and keep throwing the recommendations my way. I know I say it all the time, but they genuinely help me out, because if I know you enjoy watching something, I'll definitely enjoy reacting to it. So like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, keep throwing the recommendations, and I'll catch you in the next one.